The Real Estate Hour, the longest-running real estate talk show in the North Bay. Heard every Sunday morning right here on KSRO for over 35 years. Hosted by Allison Norman and Stephanie Norman, local realtors with local real estate experience. The Norman Home Team, a mother-daughter real estate team with Keller Williams Realty Wine Country. And now, here are Allison and Stephanie.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Happy May.
Happy May.
My birthday month. It's also Brain Tumor Awareness Month.
All the things.
All the things, and Cinco de Mayo's coming up this week.
Yeah, sing happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
It's
I did post a couple things on our Facebook page, Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman. Roseland and Santa Rosa is having their 17th annual Cinco de Mayo festival, so make sure you check that out. We have our guest coming in this morning.
Yeah, if you're going to be watching later on YouTube,
oh, yes.
we're coming at you from a different angle because we have a third person in the studio. Well, a fourth, because Joe's always behind the scenes helping us out with the board and the phones and all the things. But anyway, we have Sarah Trejo, who is a California licensed professional fiduciary. We're going to talk about what exactly that is, and then we're going to kind of learn, why it's important to have a fiduciary and all those things. So, and a lot of people kind of just don't even understand what a fiduciary is.
Yeah, definitely. And we're also going to do the market update as well. We have time.
We are. So
we will do it.
We're going to squeeze that in before our break, and then we are going to before all of that, we want to introduce our new listing to everybody. Just came on the market. When did we come on the market? Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah, maybe it was Wednesday. But anyway, open house today from 2 to 4. This is a beautiful, beautiful property. It's on 2.74 acres, 2346 Olivet Lane in Santa Rosa, and that one of my favorite areas. It's kind of that Laguna, Willowside, all of that area.
It's like my dream location and then my dream house.
All the things, yeah.
The picket white fence.
yeah. No, it's not the picket, the ranch style.
Oh yeah,
white
the
fence.
ranch
No picket.
style. No picket. Ranch style.
Beautiful, yeah,
white
the white.
Yeah.
But it's just a really pretty property, very usable, level, with kind of gently sloping at the lower end of it, and or the bottom portion of it, but it's a modern Victorian inspired, not gosh, I can't say that. A modern, custom-built, modern Victorian inspired farmhouse is kind of what we came up with for the design. But it's an owner builder. He's a contractor. They spent just put so much care and extra things into this property. It's a 2-story, like Stephanie said, huge wraparound deck. I mean, front porch, which is just,
a dream.
And not only that but that front porch faces west. So over there's a vineyard across the road. So it's not your vineyard that you have to care for, but you get to watch it, enjoy every season of it. And then the sunset views and all of that to the west. So, and then sitting on your front porch, your rocking chair. They actually have rocking chairs out there on the front porch. 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and the bonus of a partially completed ADU. That is it's a permitted structure. It has the walls in for 1-bedroom. 2 baths. There's a primary suite with bathroom, and then a second guest bathroom. 2 other rooms that would be great for if you have an office, home office or, storage. Big open, great room, kitchen, living room space. This is all inside of just under 900 square foot, but it feels bigger than that because they've utilized the space really good. Oh, yeah. So tons of potential for that. It does need to have some finishing to make it an actual ADU, but talk about the potential for extra. And we have so many people that are looking for that family compound type property, right? People, we want a house. We could put a couple ADUs. And actually the owner was told by the county just recently that they could actually put a second unit on because of the size of the lot.
And what do we have that one listed at?
It's listed at 1.7, so $1.7 million. Again, almost 3 acres, very usable land, and it's just they've pulled out all the stops, you know. I mean, he plumbed all these extra places where it's plumbed electrical where you can add different things.
Yeah.
And there's actually, it's all plumbed for another bathroom out in the garage. It's an oversized garage. There isn't a bathroom there yet, but he added the plumbing and the electrical and all that. It has 2 laundry rooms, one downstairs, one upstairs.
Pretty amazing.
All just, I can't even, there's this huge list. It's over.
Do we have a website for it?
Yeah, you know what? Thank you. You can go to 2346 Olivet Lane, LN. So it's Olivet Lane, which is off of Olivet Road. So 2346 Olivet, OLIVET LN.com. That'll take you to the website. You can see this beautiful house for yourself in pictures, but pictures don't tell the whole story, so you got to be there. You got to see it.
Come to the open house today and see the house in person.
2 to 4. Come and see us. Or it might just be me. Stephanie has a prior engagement. You may be there. Come by a little later. But anyway, so we'll be there. Come check it out. 2346 Olivet Lane. We're gonna get to the numbers right away because we want to get our fiduciary on as soon as possible. So. Because we have a lot to talk about. And we've been trying. I've been working with fiduciaries since really almost day one when I started 20 years ago. I've never been able to get one that wants to come on the radio.
Well, yay, we have Sarah now.
We have Sarah Trejo coming in, so we're excited that finally someone said yes.
Yes.
So I don't know why. Maybe it's interesting, but just haven't found the right person.
We're going to dive into the
market. We're going to talk about the numbers real quick. We are looking at the market. Next week, we're going to do the full numbers for April because it's still early in May, and we want to give all those agents a chance to report those sold. So looking at what's currently active on the market, single-family homes, we have 825 active single-family homes. Again, it's just inching its way up. We were at 789, then 800. Now we're at 825. We're in the thick of the spring market. And in spite of having all of those things, all of those active listings, we have clients that just canceled a trip here because 4 of the 5 listings they had in mind have already gone into escrow. So, and it's hard when you're out of the area and they're actually on the other side of the country. So it's a big trip, and all of the things that were on their list already went into escrow. So even though our inventory's up, the buyers are out there, they're buying. So 318 in escrow. The median price for what's active on the market is $1,299,000. The median price for what's in escrow is $850,000. That just means that some of the lower price homes are going into escrow versus, higher price homes, which is what we've been seeing there. It's higher price homes sitting on the market a little bit longer. Condos, there's 135 active condos. That's a big number. But again, it's kind of similar to what it has been, but 135 condos, PUDs, and then 43 in escrow. So there's definitely some room in that condo market to maybe come in and get a good. I hate to say that because that doesn't mean you can throw a low ball offer. Yeah. It just means that maybe you have an opportunity to get something without multiple offers and overbids. Mobile homes, there are 90 active mobile homes with 31 in escrow. Multi-units, there are 105 active on the market with 18 in escrow. And then land, buildable residential lots and land, 299. We've just been flirting with that 300 on the lands. It was 300, then 301. Today it's 299. And 35 in escrow, and it's pretty consistently what we've been seeing in escrow too. So land takes a lot longer to sell, to not just the getting into escrow, but then once you're in escrow, the inspections and all that take a lot longer. It's just a whole different animal. We are experienced with land sales and can absolutely help you with that. There's definitely some opportunity there because there's a lot on the market, and they just don't sell as quickly. So anyway, that's a look at the market. Like I said, we'll have the full market next week. I promise you don't have to wait till next month. But Stephanie has the what happened this last week. We're going to go through that, and then we'll be ready to take a quick break.
So this is from last Sunday to this Sunday, single-family residential for Sonoma County. So for new listings, we have 150 with a median list price of $977,000. Back on market, we have 13. Price reduction, 52. In escrow, 94. In pending, 66. 97 are sold 97 with a Median sold price of $915,000 with 63 days on the market. That's an average 63 days on the market.
Yeah, and that 915's up a little. It means that maybe
yes.
something higher sold, because the weekly numbers change pretty drastically.
They
with,
do,
you know, with one little thing. How about the sold? That number sounds a little high also, but yeah.
Last week it was at 65, so yeah, it's definitely gone up.
Yeah, what is it?
Things are selling.
97.
97,
Yeah, we are
yeah.
seeing a lot of stuff. Like I said, somebody just canceled their trip because everything
Yeah,
they were
things are
looking at
selling,
went into
guys.
escrow. So anyway, that is what's happening in the market. Like I said, we will take a look at the full April numbers, what sold, all of that in all the categories. Different. We'll do that next week. And we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into the world of a fiduciary. And what in the world is that? Because a lot of people don't even know it's something that's available to you.
There's having a fiduciary duty to your clients, and then there's being a fiduciary.
I know you hear that word, but anyway, so we're going to talk and learn all about what exactly that is with Sarah Trejo, California licensed professional fiduciary. We'll do that when we come back, and she's going to be in studio, so stay tuned for that. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We are the Norman Home Team, and you're listening to the Real Estate Hour. We'll be right back. Good morning. We're back.
Good morning.
The Real Estate Hour. Good morning, and we wanted to introduce you to Sarah Trejo, who is a California licensed fiduciary. And we're going to find out what in the world that is in just a minute. But Sarah is a California licensed professional fiduciary in private practice in Sonoma County. She serves as trustee, successor trustee, executor, and financial power of attorney for a select group of clients. And she brings more than 16 years of experience as owner and manager of a financial planning firm to her practice, with an emphasis in practice management, technology, and client services. She believes that fiduciaries perform a special role as helpers and problem solvers, and is known for listening, building relationships, and calmly handling some of life's most important tasks. And she has this huge list. She has a very big and impressive list of all of the different organizations she's, volunteers in her time to be a part of, including the Professional Fiduciaries Association of California, and the Sonoma County chapter, which is we all call PFAC, and then Community Support Network is the board president, and volunteers at Sonoma County Parks and Foundation. Wow. So if you want to, and on top of all that, teaches spin classes, bake sourdough bread, travels, enjoys spending time with her husband Matt and their golden retriever Bayou. We're dog people too, so we love that. Yes. And then friends and family near and far. So I ended up reading the whole thing because that's pretty impressive. But anyway,
it's pretty impressive, yeah.
Thank
you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just realized that my microphone is right between the two of us. That's okay. Anyway, yeah, thanks, because we have been, like I said, we've had people for years. I mean, I started 20 years ago, and I've worked with fiduciaries, and they usually say, "Oh no, we don't want to come on the radio. We'll tell you all the things," and I'm like, "Why do you want to come on the radio?" I just haven't asked the right people. So. Here, we're going to switch to the other side. Oh, there. Sorry, technical. I had my microphone right in our faces. Okay, so anyway, what I would love to know, if we can just start out with, what is a fiduciary, and because I think a lot of people don't know, or have maybe even never heard of it, right?
Yes.
A lot of people don't know, and so the first thing I usually try to tell them is we handle a lot of some of life's most important tasks when they are either unable or they've passed and there isn't someone who's able to do that for them. So sometimes people don't have kids, or they don't have kids who live near, or unable. So we step in and provide assistance for all of the important adulting things.
Right. The things and what I find is interesting. A lot of people, and me as well, I kind of think, well, this happens after somebody's passed, and that's usually when we come into the picture. And I think that's why I have that picture of, here's what a fiduciary is. Is you are the trustee or executor oftentimes, because you've been named by the the person that's passed, and then you're handling all of that. But you actually can step in a lot earlier than that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And, I think every fiduciary kind of has a different focus in their practice. But I find that to be a really rich and rewarding part of it is when you get to help someone before they're gone, and you get to know them and provide that assistance for them. And we'll get into some of the deep, the details of that, but it encompasses many things. So
yeah, it does. And like I said, usually we come into the picture when a fiduciary says, hey, we have this house we need to sell, or
yeah,
what's the value of this, and we can help you with all of that. But yeah, I think it's great that you can. And what I've seen in the fiduciaries, and I know you're included in this, is that really your focus is on doing what that person has said that they wanted to do, and I've seen how fiduciaries have to keep track and keep all the siblings or the children.
Yes. Families
keep them
can
focused
get
and say,
complicated.
look, this is what mom wanted. My job, and anybody's job as a trustee, is to follow the terms of what the person has said, right?
Yes.
So you have a hard job in that sometimes, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think that's, when you talk about getting into the details about what makes us different than a child performing these tasks, one of those is, we are held to some really high standards. We are held to higher standards than, say, if someone named their child to be their executor. Because we are professional fiduciaries, that means that we, must act without conflict, and we must adhere to the duties of the trust if we're acting as trustee, and ultimately, as you said, that person's wishes and carrying those out, and that is what we're held to. Right,
and I think that's an important thing, and a lot of people with multiple children, might want to think about that. And I know we talk to a lot of people who say, well, I don't know, I don't want to name just one person. I know with my mom, we were both, my sister and I were trustees. Okay. And our the attorney that was handling it, she goes, oh, I hate it when they do that.
And you will find also, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because we sometimes will get calls and people will say, I'm looking for a fiduciary to serve with me as co-trustee. And often even our insurance does not allow that.
Really?
Because it just makes it much more complicated.
Right? I know that we were okay, but it's it can be hard. So being in that position, but before we get into the thick of that, so you're a California licensed fiduciary. Is it a requirement in California that you be licensed, or are there people that just say, hey, I'm going to be a fiduciary?
Yeah, so it's crazy because in every state it's different, but California is one of the states that requires licensing. We're licensed through the Department of Consumer Affairs with the California Fiduciaries Bureau. Nice. And so we have education requirements, and then we have an exam, and then we earn our license, and we also have to be, insured, sometimes bonded depending on the case. And so and I think it's important, because it does mean that not just anybody can hang up their shingle and say, I'm a professional fiduciary. And we, especially again when we're acting as probate administrators or trustees, we're also held to the rules of the California probate law. And so again, just there's important processes to follow, and you have to. It's an interesting job because you're never done learning, but you do have to know a certain amount of
real estate. That's exactly what we say about real estate
that's
too.
Part of the fun of it.
Yeah, you learn something new every day, really. Yeah. And that's the fun part, right? Yeah. So what? I guess let's get into kind of what exactly is. I know after somebody passes, kind of what you do is that, but what are you doing? And we can talk more about that. But what are you doing before?
Yeah.
When you come in and somebody just says, "I need somebody to help manage my life right now."
Well, and one of the things you were asking, how do you describe it? It always depends on who's asking. What do fiduciaries do, right? But I also my husband is a big fan of sports analogies, and so I would say we're like the quarterback. We're organizing, we're calling, we're we're assessing the situation and making the decisions on how, who receives this, who receives that, and how do we achieve our stated goals. So, and then also I say, but with the human side of being sort of the professional adult children, understanding the family dynamics and being the one, as I said in my bio, calmly bringing, it's like you're sort of, the neutral third party and the one to sort of hear everybody. And so when you say, and we may have to get into this after our break, but what do we do before people die? So there's a few different ways we come into play. Basically, people will come to me and say, I'd like to name you as successor trustee. And that could be then that I will be their trustee before they die, if they become incapacitated or they just decide they've reached the end of their life and they don't want to do the things, adulting, paying the insurance, paying the phone, paying the bills, all this. There's a lot of work we do to coordinate our lives. And sometimes people reach a point, whether it's through illness or cognitive decline, they can't really do that anymore. Right. And so my goal is always to spend time over the years getting to know people, and then when it's time to come in and help them, I have a sense of who they are, what's important to them, and roughly how their life operates. And so then, and it's to then hopefully also ease into that transition that when they do pass, everything is set up and organized.
Right. And quick before we go to break, when you say they name you as a successor trustee, I think it's important to make a big distinction between you're not the beneficiary now, and your kid might go, I don't want you to have my mom's home. That's not what you're doing.
That's such a great clarification, because often children can be named as the successor trustee, but they are also a beneficiary. So I am never conflict of interest. I am never a beneficiary. Right. I am just the person that executes their wishes.
Right. So. I think that's an important distinction and kind of obvious, but one of those things that you should state, because maybe it's not obvious to somebody, and a lot of times we forget to state the obvious. But no, and I could see, an adult child going, well, who is this person? And I have actually seen that where, when we come in later, where they're all, well, why is this person saying what needs to be done? Well, that's what your mom or dad wanted, and ultimately it's what's good for the estate, what's good for your parents' wishes.
Yeah, I think that was a really good clarification.
But it's okay. When we come back, we're going to talk more about fiduciary, what exactly it is, what you do, and all the other questions people may have. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We're here with Sarah Trejo, California professional fiduciary. I left one word out. Licensed professional fiduciary. We'll be right back. Good morning. We're back. It's the Real Estate Hour, and we're back with Sarah Trejo, California licensed professional fiduciary. I get it. Did I get it all?
So many things.
And we're talking all about what a fiduciary is and what they do, and I wanted to just first, before we move in back onto that, is so as realtors and like attorneys and other professionals, we have a fiduciary duty to our client, which is basically to everything to do to the best for them. What we're doing is for them, and we're bound by that, by a fiduciary duty. So people have probably heard the word fiduciary in that context, but what makes a professional fiduciary different than, I mean, I imagine it's the same, you have a fiduciary duty, but yours is a much broader thing.
That is also another great question. Because often people do think I'm a financial advisor. And because they hear advisors, and even in advertising, that they're fiduciaries. And again, that comes back to what you just said, which is that you attorneys have fiduciary duties. Fiduciary means in the best interest of. So you all have this duty to act in the best interest of your clients. And so we as professionals have to take that a step further, again, always acting in the best interest of our clients. But it's, I'd be curious to dive into how, when this career became named this, because actually this is somewhat of a newer career, believe it or not. I mean, people have been doing it for decades, but from a licensing standpoint, licensing has only been around in California since 2008.
Oh,
So,
that's
and
interesting.
again, as I said earlier, there are some states that still don't even have licensing. And so in many ways, it's kind of a Wild West. But to bring it back to, I think it's been called this because, we wear many hats. We have many different duties. And in all of those circles and processes, we're always trying to act in the best interest of our clients.
Right.
So,
And even beyond their passing, and then, and especially
Absolutely.
as a trustee, then a successor trustee, you have that duty as well.
Right.
And I
Right.
think just to talk about that for 1 second, as a trustee, even if you're not using a fiduciary, I think it's important to ask the person that you're going to name a fiduciary and say, not a fiduciary, a trustee. Here's all these things you're going to need to do.
yes.
Are you up for the task?
Yeah,
Because some people just
seriously.
name,
well, and
It's like, are you sure you want to do that?
I've talked with attorneys about this in the past. I think that a couple of things. One, just historically, it was always you name your first
the
child,
oldest
your
child.
firstborn,
Yeah,
oldest
son is
child,
what
like
it- what it- yeah.
and they carry out the wishes of the trust. And I think that estate settlement has gotten incredibly more complicated and complex, and even there's tax returns to be filed. There's so if there's K-1s to issue, if there's property to sell.
Yeah.
There's and then if there's, depending on the trust may be split in certain ways, and it's just
It's
it
a
can
lot.
be a real this is going to sound negative, but I just think it can help explain the complexity. It can be a real rat's nest sometimes of things, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so if the oldest child is the named fiduciary or successor trustee, and they live on the other side of the country, how is that going to work?
Yeah.
And it
law.
used to be that
I know.
it's an honor and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, actually, you really should ask somebody if they're okay with
Right.
doing
Yeah,
that.
that should be the first question. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of
Yeah.
naming you as a successor trustee.
Yeah.
Or maybe have that family
And
conversation.
are you aware of everything
all the things?
that's
Yeah,
involved?
I think I have a list somewhere that it's
Yeah.
like all
Yeah.
these. Here's what you're going to be doing if you're going to be a trustee. Yeah, so that's good.
And
but
sometimes, so go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and sometimes, not everybody needs a fiduciary. Some, families where maybe there's one child and it's a relatively straightforward estate. They had one house, assets are pretty simple. That you
Yeah.
could hire then an attorney to kind of work with you on some of the steps, work with a CPA to get those tax returns filed and close it all up and be done. But there's just other times where
Yeah, I just think it's with anything, with some people are, I
Absolutely.
can do that myself,
Yeah.
and that's fine,
Yes.
but if you don't want to, then there's a fiduciary that
Exactly.
can help you with that.
Exactly.
And I think it's there's a lot of really good reasons. But so let's talk about what a typical day looks like for you
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
other fiduciaries out there.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing on a daily basis? It's probably a big mix. I know there's a lot of record keeping, right? Too, because
there is. It's really important that we maintain. In fact, I'm going to be speaking at the Professional Fiduciaries Association conference next
nice.
month. This
Oh, good.
month, I
think
guess
I'm
we're in
gonna-
May.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we're
go
in
to
May.
that.
And so
at the conference.
Yeah,
Is that the
yeah.
one in
Wow.
San Diego,
it's
right?
well, they
Oh.
alternate location every year. So
Okay.
this year it's going to be in Sacramento.
Oh, nice.
It was
Okay.
in Southern California last year, so they
okay.
go back and forth. But I'm going to be speaking. Well, I'm speaking twice. Once on technology because I really love that stuff. But then at the end of the conference, my husband and I are actually going to be presenting together on document integrity and management. So
Nice.
to
Yeah.
your question, this is really important. And with my background from the financial planning area, it really helped me just get right into this to put processes into place that are around maintaining our client files. And this is really sensitive information. And it's also important that you document all the work you do and your reasoning. So I know this is hard to believe, but sometimes there can be people that that aren't happy with maybe the way you've done something, or the way
that never happens.
and you're going to be asked why you made the decisions you made. And you have to have documentation, and you have to show that you considered this angle and this angle and this angle. And I looked at all these things, just like that quarterback analogy I was talking about. I assessed the whole situation, and I chose this because of this X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And when you can produce that, then there's my evidence. And,
Right, yeah, because I'm sure there are a lot of times when there are family members that aren't happy that their parent chose somebody from the outside to manage their future inheritance, or their life.
what their parents chose for them in terms of what their inheritance is.
Right.
Or maybe one child had it left in a trust and nobody told them that it was going to be left in a trust for them.
And it's all your fault, right?
I'm
sure you've heard that, not that it is. Yeah.
And that's where I think, that the human side of this, and this is why I'm like, it's helpful to understand finance, it's helpful to understand legal and some psychology, and have, because families, like I said earlier, are complicated, and there's so many feelings and history. And I once, I had a fiduciary I was talking to, she said, sometimes the kids might be fighting, and she said, her name's Carol, and she said, I tell them that's BC. That was before Carol. Like, I'm here to, we're here to be the neutral party. And, but it's, anyway, we kind of got off tangent, but,
I think I took you there, but
yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But in terms of, our daily, that's where I think it can be so easy in this world to get suddenly wrapped up in your tasks, like, I've got to take care of this, and I've got this client over here, and I'm selling a house, and I've got a house to empty, or this or that. But always making time for your administrative tasks. We pay bills, right? We pay clients, whether it's for an estate that we're closing out or someone's ongoing bills. There's bills to be paid, and so again, you kind of have a certain day of the week you handle your bills, and so yes, the job varies from day to day depending on what your client's needs are, but then of course there's always time you make for your regular administrative duties.
Yeah, it's a lot. You guys do a lot.
So we spin many plates.
I know, yeah. I mean, we do as well, but in a different way. But, and we work with a lot of families and trusts and all of that. So when you're talking about family conflict and all that, it really resonates because we've been in the middle of it. But I tell you, the times when there's been a fiduciary, it's been very helpful to have that kind of goalkeeper, right? Or referee, referee, not goalkeeper, referee. So sometimes you're assigned by an attorney. Is that like if it's they're conserved?
So
or
we can
after the fact.
Get into the different types of assignments we have. So sometimes there's kind of the ones that we already discussed that are more straightforward. Somebody is doing their estate planning with their attorney. They name you as a successor trustee, and then down the line you're called to perform your duties. Then we also act as financial power of attorney. This is something that I think a lot of people don't quite understand, and I'm also I'm a big advocate for power of attorney in general for every single person who is over 18, getting your health care and financial power of attorney done. It really is so quick and easy.
And you never know.
I think about all the parents who have kids that are off at college and they don't have power of attorney forms signed. And so if their child ends up in the hospital and that child is over 18, the hospital is not going to give you that information just because you're their parent.
I know, and I have 4 kids, and I found that out too. And Stephanie's had some health issues, which we talk about often. But so I'm on there as her. I don't know if I have they have permission to talk to me, and I am the person that can make decisions. So,
but we didn't realize.
But we didn't. Yeah. So when they turn 18, suddenly you're like, oh shoot, I can't do anything about this. So it's so important. That's a really good point.
And so we will, of course, often people will name a family member as their healthcare POA. We call that power of attorney POA, healthcare POA, and then I often am named as the backup. So,
Right.
you know, because usually family member is the one that knows that person the best to make those kind of healthcare decisions.
Yeah.
But sometimes there isn't anybody, and again, a fiduciary will act at those times.
Okay.
And so we're gonna.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So, when is a good time for someone to start thinking about hiring a fiduciary?
I think, you know, when they're doing their estate planning, if they're creating a trust with an attorney, or even just writing their will. You know, wills don't have to be notarized; they just have to be witnessed, and so people can write their wills, and that's an opportunity to name an executor. And
Right.
and so I have a neighbor that I've known for many years, and she named me as her executor, and that it's an honor. So so there's that, and then there's other times then when we're brought in. There's times where the court appoints us. So there was a trust where the beneficiaries were having a hard time agreeing, and so
No.
so they agreed because they couldn't figure it out to have a professional fiduciary come in, and my job was to really just sort of manage the assets while they figured it out in litigation, and
Okay.
and so I did that, and then when they actually settled, we were all so happy, and so then we it's my job to distribute the assets then. And so, but in that case, I was court appointed. So
Right,
it had to be
okay.
through the court. Again, conservatorships. So conservatorships, we just touched on power of attorney. What happens if somebody loses capacity and they do not have a power of attorney? Then they have to be conserved, because if they no longer have the capacity to make these decisions and name someone, then the court has to do it for them.
Right.
And that's where a professional fiduciary can act as a conservator of that person.
Okay.
But then that is all court managed and supervised.
Right. Okay.
So if that were to happen to a family, how does the cost work on that for them, for hiring all these people?
Yeah, great question.
Joe had that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, who pays for this? How does it work?
Well, it is typically the estate that pays for our services. So, again, when it comes to acting as a trustee, fiduciaries, it's so complicated, and I wish it weren't. But I'm still working on how to make it an easier question to answer. But favorite also answer, it depends.
That's always ours.
So in cases where, like, probate administration, also conservatorships where it's court supervised.
Yeah.
So the court, with probate, those are statutory fees. They are set by the court. In conservatorships, the court approves your fees, and again, it's the estate that pays. If a person does not have the funds to pay, then they go under the supervision or administration of the public guardian. So, and that's a kind of a different sector. So, but to answer your question, estates, then someone's estate will pay, and again, sometimes we're paid as a percentage of the assets, and other times we are paid hourly. So, and different fiduciaries you'll see. And by the way, this is something the state mandates that we have to have our fees. If we have a website, we have to have our fees posted on our website.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
you'll see it's a little different, and that's also what makes it so confusing. There's just, I almost wish it were a little bit more like the probate thing, where it's like it's just set.
This is
This is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need to take a quick break.
Sure,
and we
sure.
come back, we can. I think you covered that well, and that's good. And so we can go. Yeah. So basically, it depends. And that's good to know. But when we come back, I want to talk about kind of what things that you should ask when you're interviewing,
Great.
looking for a fiduciary, and then some things that you should be aware of and look out for.
And we want to make sure there's time for you
to mention who.
who you are and how to get a hold of you.
Well, and you did mention the website, and we can throw that out real quick. And it's
SarahTrejo.com.
.com, so easy.
Super easy.
TREJO, right? And Sarah with an H at the end.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We're here with Sarah Trejo, California licensed professional fiduciary. I got it right. You're listening to the Real Estate Hour. We'll be right back.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're back. And we've been talking to Sarah Trejo, California licensed professional fiduciary. I want to, because we don't have a lot of time left, but I think some really important questions we had left to talk about were, what should somebody do if they're thinking about hiring a fiduciary? What are some questions to make sure that it's a good fit, I guess?
Yeah, and that's, just like in hiring any other professional, there's technical questions you're going to want to ask, and also you also just want to feel like it's a good fit with that person.
Yeah.
Do they listen to you? And generally speaking, I would say, us fiduciaries do this because we're caring, kind people, we're helpers, and
right.
but you're gonna. I even had some friends recently ask me about my services, and I told them, I still want you to go interview a couple other fiduciaries, just so you get a sense, and because we're all different, and
right.
we all operate a little differently, and we all have different backgrounds, and some people, I think that's what's so interesting is, that's a question you can ask is like, how did you get into this?
Yeah.
What's your background? Some people came from the social work arena. Some people were paralegals. Some people were in the financial field, like I was. So, asking someone a little bit, tell me about how you came to do this, because I'm hoping to start to change this. That's one of my big long-term goals, but is people generally don't do this out of college, right? This is a second and sometimes even a third career for people. And
I've heard of some where I did all of this for my mom, and so I'm like, I
yes,
want to do
that's
this
a
for other
common
people
one. I
now,
did
right?
this. Yep, I did this for a family member. But so obviously important with the technical questions. Are you licensed? How long have you been practicing? Do you have E&O insurance? Those should all be yeses, but it's still important to ask them.
Yeah.
How do you manage your caseload? How many clients do you serve at one time?
Right,
And
that's a good.
it is because, again, and I still remember this when I was doing my education requirements, that was a point that stuck with me was about, it's really important to manage your caseload, because if you get in over your head, then, cases can be at different stages, and that's ideal. And you can't control when people die, obviously. Right. So, sometimes a case, but you do have the ability, when we are named, and this is important too, when we are named, there's language in trust that say, if I'm unable or unwilling to serve, then I may nominate somebody else. And if I can't, if I died, then it is this person. Oh, right. So, or this person can name someone. Or sometimes they'll say it should at least be a licensed professional fiduciary who is a member of PFAC. So Professional Fiduciaries Association of California. You don't have to be a member of that. It's like a trade organization, right? But that provides education and networking for us, and I think I'm really proud to be part of it. And so that's, I guess, where I was saying I got a little sidetracked, but it kind of comes into it, which is, are you a member of any fiduciary organizations? And so then are you willing, if you've got a full caseload, are you willing to pass off a case to somebody else? I had a fiduciary last year who said, reached out to me and said, you know what, I've got this great client, and I've been her successor trustee, and she's going to need me now. She's got an illness, and she really needs someone to step in. She's going to resign as trustee. By the way, that's a third. People think it's just incapacity or death, but people can have capacity and resign, and they're still in the driver's seats. So she said, she goes, my caseload is so full right now, I can't take her. I want to. I love her, but I can't take her, and I would love for you to so she interviewed with 3 fiduciaries, and anyway, I ended up working with her. But that was one thing we had a conversation about is you're in the driver's seat. Even though I'm your trustee, you have capacity, so I have to really still do what you want. And I can't make unilateral decisions. But anyway, so how do you handle your caseload? Also, to my point, do you have a succession plan? What happens to all of your clients if something happens to you? That's like, you're the one doing the estate planning.
Yeah, because
it's like the cobbler in the shoes, right? Like, have you made your own plan? So that's important. How do you communicate with clients and families? That's, to me, one of the most important parts of what we do is communication. Go ahead.
Especially when there's that situation when there's family members that maybe aren't happy that that you've been assigned, but to be able to have that communication, say, look, and I think that was an important point that you made, that they're still, while they're still capacitated, they're still in the driver's seat. So they haven't handed over their entire life to you as the fiduciary. They're still in charge. And even when they pass, you're still following their instructions.
And like with that client, that's a great example. She doesn't need me to pay her bills yet. So even though I'm financial power of attorney on her accounts and I can log online and see them all, and I'm her trustee, so on her investment accounts, they're under my discretion. But she's still very involved. And so this is a thing where we walk alongside our clients.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and just figure it out as we go, and check in, to communicate. So,
I think communication is huge.
And asking them also finally, like, what's your onboarding process, and to your question, Stephanie, earlier, how are you paid?
Right.
Because again, every fiduciary kind of does it a little differently. Right. So it's an
not
important
a standard.
I was thinking another good one is, where are they located? Are they local?
And what's your range?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Some work can be done remotely. If there's property, not so easy, right? You know this.
Yeah.
If I've got my name on a property, I need to put eyes on it. It's my liability.
So I guess that would be more like, does it need to be someone that's local to you, or could you work with somebody far away in another state?
Yeah.
And another state's another thing where, like, often we have a listserv of all of our PFAC fiduciary community, and people will often say, "Oh, I've got a client that needs a fiduciary in Texas. Does anybody know anybody?" Because it's like we don't know their laws.
Yeah, they're all very same with real estate. So we refer to over there. Okay, well, we're going to run out of time, but I want to make sure that we get all of your information out.
Okay.
So how does somebody contact you if they want to learn more?
They can visit me on the web at sarahtrajo.com. They can email me at info@sarahtrajo.com.
Okay.
And my phone, I don't know if I should, my phone's on my website. If you want people
to call you, you can give out the phone number.
It's 707-385-1594. And I'm, like I said, I'm out and about, out on the trails at our beautiful Sonoma County parks. Yeah. So they might find me out there with my dog Bayou.
Oh, perfect. Your golden retriever, right?
Yes.
Oh, love those. Okay, well, that's all we have time for about all of that.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, it's been really good, and I hope somebody got something. I'm sure some people got. Yeah. I think it's one of those things a lot of people don't know about, and it's a really important stuff that you do. So, anyway, that's all we have time for. Come visit us at the open house 2346 Olivet Lane, out in beautiful northwest Santa Rosa, Rosa, they call it. And
happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yes. And all that. You can find us on Facebook, The Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
Have a great day.
You've been listening to The Real Estate Hour, heard every Sunday morning right here on KSRO for over 35 years. Hosted by Allison Norman and Stephanie Norman, local realtors with local real estate experience. A mother-daughter real estate team with Keller Williams Realty Wine Country. Call or text 707-799-3617. More next week right here on KSRO.